Alright, hello everyone. This is the spoiler review for How to Train Your Dragon 3. Recorded just as I got out of an early screening, but as I said in my non-spoiler review, I am holding off on this one and until the movie's official release. It's just to be on the safe side in case there's some embargo thing going on. Before I get into a lot of the details, there is one thing that I do need to bring up.
Baby Night Furies! Baby Night Furies, Baby Night Furies, Baby Night Furies, so adorable! I love them.
I want one. I want them all.
You're so cute.
Yep, sorry about that. But the moment they popped up on screen, I had to resist the urge to squeal like a young child. Well, so I've been holding that in for a bit. But yeah, this does kind of coincide with my point I made in the non-spoiler review about the trailer gives away the ending. Now the trailer, the first line of dialogue in the trailer is actually the way each of the How to Train Your Dragon books that this is based on in name only. Yeah, but I don't know where I was going with that sentence. But yeah, that's how all the books start with the line, there used to be, when I was young, there used to be dragons, and now there's not. That's how the trailer started, and that's pretty much when that combined with the title of this movie, which I don't get why they didn't just call this How to Train Your Dragon 3, because the title in and of itself is a spoiler. But yeah, that dialogue mixed with the title, you can pretty much guess the ending of this movie, which is that all the dragons go to the hidden world place, separate from the humans. So, like, there's a really emotional, sad scene where Hiccup is saying goodbye to Toothless, and had I not seen the trailer, and had they not named the movie this specific subtitle, I probably would have broken down crying. Because it's really well done. But the thing kind of with me is that, like, emotional scenes like that usually work best if I don't see them coming, especially multiple months in advance. So yeah, should probably start at the beginning. The beginning's actually really cool, because Hiccup, Toothless, and Astrid, Stormfly, and the rest of the gang are out liberating dragons from dragon hunters, in which Hiccup and Toothless basically get a Batman intro, and it's awesome. And one thing I do appreciate about this movie is that it does bring back the fact that Astrid is a warrior, which is an issue I slightly had. I guess not so much the second movie, but like in all the TV shows and kind of post the first movie, they kind of turned Astrid into almost a damsel in distress. They kind of course corrected and rectified that with the last season of Race to the Edge on Netflix. I had to remember which one it was, because there's multiple seasons on multiple channels that all have different names. But that's like a video and discussion in and of itself. One thing I do like about this is that they did fix Hiccup from post the first movie. He's not necessarily like the Punisher or kills everyone who's in his path, but he's not the pacifist they tried to turn him into in the second movie and in the TV shows. That was one of the things I had an issue with the second movie, was that Hiccup was a little too much of a stereotypical pacifist. And again, that's a discussion I could probably make about the whole trilogy when I get around to discussing it. That's not really the thing here. So I like that. And I get back to Burke, and basically an issue that's happening is Hiccup's rescuing and bringing back so many dragons that Burke is getting severely overcrowded. And the dragon hunters bring in a dragon hunting specialist known as, I can't remember his full name, but it's Grimmel. I don't hate his design, but I feel it could have been, I don't know how I would have made better, but I feel like it could have been a bit better. I don't know, it's kind of reminds me of like a mix of Kylo Ren's outfit from Force Awakens and Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame. If you like mix those two designs together, I feel like this is the character you get. But so they call him in because he has a vendetta to hunt down all the Night Furies, and they tell him Hiccup has the last Night Fury. And so Grimmel uses a Light Fury, which is, I guess, a female Night Fury, in order to who basically set a trap for Toothless. So the first third of the movie is they try them learning Grimmel's after them, and they try to outsmart him, but he outsmarts them in return, and basically poses a threat against their entire village. At which point Hiccup proposes they search for the Lost World, or not the Lost World, that's Jurassic Park, the Hidden World, which supposedly all dragons come from. And then they can go there and live in peace with them. So they take off, head west. They don't reach America, no. No, but they find a new island. All the humans at least want to call it home. And Toothless continues, I guess, mating with the Light Fury, or I guess going on dates with her. And one thing I also like about this movie is there are a lot of callbacks to past material. Like the thing that Toothless does to win the Light Fury over is draw her face, which is a callback to the first movie. One thing I really liked was that they acknowledged the Christmas special gift of the Night Fury, because how Toothless gets the ability to fly without Hiccup by Hiccup building a mechanical fin that Toothless can operate on his own, which was a plot point in that short, and I appreciated that they actually acknowledged those events in this, instead of pretending that it never happened because it's some kind of spin-off material. And Toothless and her fly off to the Hidden World, after sort of doing a romantic flight homage, which again is another scene I want to see in IMAX 3D. So let's see. I'm trying to remember the events. Yeah, so Hiccup learns that Grimmel seems to be tracking them, so they go to who try and capture him. Grimmel outsmarts them once more, and this time captures Ruffnet, kind of by accident. And eventually, she annoys him and he lets her go. So, meanwhile, Hiccup and Astrid with Stormfly go to find Toothless, and discover the hidden world, where they learn that it's visually beautiful, but not sustainable for humans. As in, it's mostly an underground cave full of coral and various rock formations, which is pretty, but not very good for, agriculture and farming, which the Vikings kind of need to survive. And none of that is actually said out loud in the movie, but you can piece together just by looking at it. It's like, this is beautiful, but there's no way of civilization of Vikings could live down here. And Hiccup and Astrid are discovered after seeing that Toothless is essentially like king of the dragons now. Oh, and one thing that was interesting that caught my eye was that during this sort of almost kind of like Lion King moment where all the dragons are like bowing to Toothless, you see the Bewilderbeast from How to Train Your Dragon 2, which belonged to Drago. So I guess that means that in the second movie, the Bewilderbeast left. Samuel got to the hidden world, and I guess Drago either drowned or probably got eaten by the dragons, considering they are hostile to Hiccup and Astrid when they're discovered. So I guess that confirms Drago's dead, which was a little bit of a gripe I had with the second movie. Wasn't really a gripe until I heard there was a new villain in this movie, because it was like, there was nothing in the second movie that overtly says Drago is dead or gone forever. So I thought he was coming back in this. I guess he's not. And then, Hiccup and Astrid are discovered. Toothless flies them out of there. And the Light Fury follows them back to the new island Berk has, which, if you're familiar with Marvel movies, you might be guessing, like, this sounds kind of like Thor Ragnarok. And that kind of is, like, the plot for, like, sort of the midway point of the movie. He is a bit of, like, Hiccup even has the speech of, Berk isn't just an island, it's a people, it's us. So, I couldn't help but think, like, wow, this is Thor Ragnarok all over again. Only without a giant monster bursting out of the ground. And then, so Ruffnet returns. Grimmel actually followed her back to the island they're at and then captures Toothless and the Light Fury. The Light Fury, which is essentially Toothless's wife at this point. And he threatens her unless Toothless cooperates and doesn't have the rest of the dragons attack him. And so they're captured. After another callback to the first How to Train Your Dragon movie with Hiccup and Astrid standing over the ledge. That sounded weird. With Hiccup and Astrid standing on the ledge overlooking the sea. Hiccup comes up with the plan where all the dragon riders, Hiccup and his friends, and put on wingsuits and fly to Grimmel's fleet. They fly there, they release the dragons, and and that's where the major battle sequence comes in. And that's primarily the battle sequence where I kind of look at it and it's like yes, some of these fights are, it's like some of these he's in a real situation would probably more violent, but since it's a PG, they kind of just shove people out of the way or knock them on the head. So then it comes down to Grimmel versus Hiccup. Grimmel takes the Light Fury and kind of forces her to fly him away. Hiccup and Toothless follow. Grimmel sends his own dragons, which are, I believe he called them Death Stalkers. They only said the name once, so I might be getting that wrong. Which are a really cool design. And I really like this dragon design, except for one of them that has these two giant tusks that come out from the end of its mouth. And I like it's like out of the four of them, only the one has the tusks, and I like the other three better because the tusks, I guess they're meant to be imposing, and I guess probably like used as weapons, but I just look at them like, how does this thing eat? Let's say, I guess I don't. No. Well, Grimmel said they're dragon hunters. I'm not sure if that implies they eat other dragons, though. And I feel like I'll probably get home and do some research on that. But yeah, so that happens. Meanwhile, while Toothless was away with the Light Fury, he learns how to basically conduct lightning, like a Skrill does, which is another new interesting power boost, and also gains the ability to cloak. Because if you have seen the trailer, which again I do not recommend, and seeing it, although at this point I kind of already gave away the ending, I guess. But if you've seen the trailer, you probably noticed that the Light Fury will shoot fire and then goes into the fire and then disappears. And initially I thought that was teleporting, as implying teleporting, but it's not. It's actually the Light Fury can active camouflage, which I thought was actually a really cool idea. So Toothless uses his new conduct lightning power to defeat the Death Stalkers, and cloak to get it at the jump on Grimmel. Well, Hiccup then leaps off Toothless, but Grimmel gets off a poison and knockout dart that knocks Toothless unconscious. Hiccup knocks Grimmel off the Light Fury, tells her to save Toothless, and then lets go. So the Light Fury saves Toothless. This then comes back to save Hiccup, who then lets Grimmel fall to his death. And then they reunite. Toothless wakes up. He explains that it's better if the dragons go with him and hide, hidden from the world. Well, they say, hey, goodbye. And then Toothless leads the dragons off to their new home, while the Vikings, led by Hiccup, stay on their new island. Then another thing that was a personal favorite of mine is that there is so much Hickstrid in this movie, which, if you aren't aware, Hickstrid is just the pairing Hiccup and Astrid, of course, which is one of the few ships I will ever admit to actively being a part of, and is, well, actually in truth is one of the only handful of ships that I am supportive and active of. They finally get married at the end of this movie, and it's beautiful. And it's and like I gotta say there's actually like a fairly good bit of like kind of relationship advice in this movie in regards to like that sort of thing. And it's like this is really nice. I like this, especially since we got minimal in the second movie, which is another probably nitpicky gripe I have about it. But back to this movie. They get married. Then what happens is we get another time skip into the future where Hiccup and Astrid have these two adorable kids. It's a son and a daughter. And then they take them to like the gate of the hidden world. And you see Toothless pop his head up. You see the Light Fury, and then of course you see the before squealed old baby Night Furies.
They're so cute.
And the movie essentially he ends with Hiccup, Astrid, and their kids riding on dragons, and it's just such a beautiful ending to this trilogy.
I will say that if there's one negative I have about this movie, there's this weird subplot where Snot Lout seems to be hitting on Hiccup's mom Valka, which is super creepy because it's his aunt. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if that's actually the thing or if they were trying to, maybe he was just trying to be like the favorite relative or something like that. But it comes across like he's hitting on her, and it's kind of creepy, honestly. It's really weird. But baby Night Furies make up for it.
Is there anything else? No, I think that pretty much sums it up. Again, if you're a fan of these movies, go see this movie. If you even if you're, I don't know, even if you just like well animated movies, go see this movie. This, I would dare, well, actually I have to consider that this won't actually come out for another 3 weeks, so yeah, I would dare say this is probably, depending on personal preference, I would say this is probably the best movie in theaters at this time. I'm personally like it. This might very well be my favorite movie of the year already. And it's like, even considering that later this year we have Avengers Endgame and Star Wars, this may very well be my favorite movie of the year. Can't say definitively until I see those movies, but yeah, I mean, it's like, this has basically been like an almost 10-year journey for me, because the first one came out 2010, although I'm not sure if I might have, can't remember if I saw it in late 2010 or I didn't see it till 2011. But that's a story for another time. But yeah, it's been so fun, like watching these characters, pretty much literally growing up with these characters. Because like I was 15 when I saw the first one, which ironically 15 is the age they all were in that first one. And second one came out 4 years later, about 4 or 5 years later, and was or well, yeah, 4 or 5 years later. Or so they were 20. Yeah, I was basically an adult when they were basically by modern standards an adult. And now this is the end. It's like, honestly, I'm perfectly fine with this ending. This is a ending where I can say, no, this is good. I hope they don't do more because it'll ruin the ending. So, yeah. So that's really about it. I'm gonna head off now. Oh, and I will see you all later.